After two cars arrive at 91 Koala Way at about the same time, we first see the 911 complainant Xiying Wang and her husband Daju Wang arriving at the front door. Lindani Myeni follows but pauses to remove his shoes while wearing a traditional Zulu umqhele headdress.
And to us, it confirms what we always knew, which is Lindani believed he was visiting a temple. He's wearing his umqhele. He takes off his shoes. You see all of that. You see his approach. He introduces himself. You can hear him say hello as he walks in the door. The woman has confirmed that he said he's Lyndon from South Africa. The video shows us that he left within less than 40 seconds and apologized. As he left, though, he heard a strange thing happening, which is the woman announcing to someone who I guess he wouldn't know who she was talking to, but she's pretending to phone someone saying, "Hello, someone just broke into my house," which is very scary words to hear if you've just mistakenly visited the wrong property.
Hello, someone just follow me breaking into my house.
Myeni is soon thereafter seen stepping back outside the front door looking confused as Miss Wang makes a fake 911 call saying someone had just broken into her house, at which point the video times out. It resumes when Miss Wang makes an actual 911 call. While she continues to talk to the 911 dispatcher, Myeni is seen stepping back outside.
What's wrong?
Who are you?
Sorry. I know you guys. Can I see your phone?
Eventually, Myeni leaves the rental property, puts his shoes back on, turns one more time to say sorry and waves his hand.
What's important for your viewers to understand, Sherwin, is that the HPD viewed and downloaded and received these video files from the doorbell camera within an hour after the shooting. They had all of this. And that first press conference when they were announcing the burglary and what heroes the officers were, they knew what had transpired at that door.
I'm so afraid to go outside today.
Despite Myeni's departure and apology, Miss Wang continues to become more fearful, sounding terrified, even hysterical on the 911 call, and then points him out in a frantic manner when police arrive, guns drawn, shining a mag light in his face, ordering him to get down.
As Lindani struggles with the man, Lindani says, "Who are you? Who are you?" What led to that moment? What had gone on before that? Why would Lindani think he was in danger, besides the obvious fact that there's an unknown man with a woman behind him screaming, pointing a gun and a flashlight at him?
The family has filed a wrongful death suit against the Honolulu Police Department, while an independent prosecutor's investigation is expected to conclude by July 15th.
It's wrongful death. But there are narratives that people use to undermine the wrongful death case. Well, he was a burglar, he was violent, he was on drugs, whatever they might be. They want to tell these stories so that jurors or the public at large have a different view of the case. And I think that this video completely dispels any of that narrative. And that's why it was suppressed by the city all this time. They didn't want us to see this.
Bickerton says they are still processing hours of unredacted police body cam footage, which they received only under court order on June the 11th. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.
So let's continue now with my colleague Sherwin Bryce-Pease. So I know what you've just shown us is inconclusive, shown both from the police investigation and the independent prosecutor's probe. But what exactly does the family, through its lawyer, believe this changes about the narrative that is out there?
Yeah, it's a great way to start, Sepisa, because all we do have are narratives, right? We have the narrative from the caller that there was a burglar. We have the narrative from the police that they were responding to a burglary. And then you have the defense attorneys here, essentially the family attorneys, seeking to piece together some of the facts on their own in the absence of any of that information being released by either the independent prosecutor that is investigating this case or the police investigation itself. This image behind is an aerial view of 91 Koala Way, where the incident took place. And right next door is the non-denominational temple that the attorneys, the Myeni family attorneys, believe he was on his way to. They also talk about the fact that given the close proximity of both these properties, similar in size, that the GPS location might have directed Lindani Myeni to the wrong residence, whereas this is the temple that he was searching for. They talk about him wearing his mkele, they talk about him removing his shoes, and clearly his disposition, his demeanor was someone that was going in, following those people into the home, going in to have a quiet time, some prayer, certainly the narrative from the Myeni family. In addition, Jim Bickerman explains, based on the circumstances of the design of the property where this incident took place, that Myeni might have been further confused looking into the foyer of this residence, despite the conversations that he was having with the Wang family. This is what Jim Bickerton had to say on that.
You can see from the video some of the stills that I think we'll provide to you that this lobby looks like a hotel foyer. It could easily be consistent with a temple, and it's certainly not something that looks like a private home. It's a grand foyer. There's a big winding staircase. And Lindani never left the foyer or the kitchen that's just right next to it, an open kitchen. Never left that area. He didn't wander around the back of the house. It's a huge house, 7,400 square feet. So we see that Lindani's actions and intentions are completely innocent, and that he apologized when he left multiple times. And he was dead, or at least dying, shot 3 or 4 times. We don't yet know we don't have the autopsy report. We don't know how many bullets actually hit him. But he was dead 2 minutes later.
Jim Bickerton also explaining to us, Tsepiso, that they had to subpoena that Ring doorbell footage. Remember, all that the HPD initially released was a very short snippet of what had transpired in terms of body cam footage. They then went to court, subpoenaed some of that body cam footage. They now have all the unredacted body cam footage, in addition to this Ring doorbell footage that really tells us a little bit more about the interaction with the Wangs that Lindani Myeni had in his last moments on this planet.
So, Sherwin, from the report you gave us earlier on, clearly the demeanor of Shi Ying Wang on that 911 call becomes key here. So, what are the Myeni family attorneys saying about the deposition of both Wang and her husband?
Well, remember, there is a wrongful death lawsuit that they have initiated on behalf of Lindsay Myeni, the widow of Lindani Myeni. And they, remember, we before, Tsepiso, you and I have had a discussion just listening to the audio of the 911 call and the frenetic, hysterical nature of Miss Wang's demeanor even after Lindani Myeni leaves, puts his shoes back on and returns to his vehicle. And so a lot of questions about what sort of role she played then in the later disposition that the police would arrive with at that property. It's something I asked Jim Bickerton about, and this was his response.
We have taken their depositions under oath. I don't want to get into much detail about the things that they've said. There are some things that they said that are obviously true and other things that we question. And we think that the best evidence and the best record is the video, doorbell video, the police video. And some of the detail that you see in that video that we've provided is from their depositions.
Jim Bickerton also tells me, Tsepiso, that they still haven't had access to the personnel files. They're still not able to identify the police officers that were involved in the shooting. They also have still not got certain information as it relates to the nature of how the 911 dispatcher engaged with those police officers based on Ms. Shi Ying Wang's call, that frenetic call. What were those conversations like, and why did they roll up at 91 Koala fell away in the manner in which they did. That is still something that is ongoing here. The video footage that they have been able to obtain, of course, done so under subpoena and by court order. So this is a very slow process, and they still don't have all the facts before them.
As they say, Sherwin, the plot thickens, and we'll await more details from you, my colleague out in New York, Sherwin Bryce-Pease.